Vladimir Putin's early life was a study in contrasts, marked by both hardship and ambition. He was born in 1952 in Leningrad, a city scarred by the brutal siege of World War II, to a working-class family. His father, a factory worker, and his mother, a cleaning lady, struggled to provide for their family, working tirelessly to make ends meet. Their communal apartment, a cramped and shared space with other families, was a far cry from the opulent palaces that would later be associated with Putin's name. Despite these humble beginnings, Putin showed early ambition and a drive to succeed. He excelled in school, particularly in German, and was known for his discipline, determination, and a keen interest in learning. He was also drawn to the world of espionage, captivated by stories of spies, intrigue, and the secretive world of intelligence. This fascination led him to join the KGB, the Soviet Union's feared intelligence agency, after graduating from Leningrad State University with a law degree, a significant achievement for someone from his background. For Putin, the KGB was more than just a job. It was a gateway to power, influence, and a means to serve his country. He embraced the agency's culture of secrecy, discipline, and ruthlessness, traits that would serve him well in the years to come. His early assignments took him to East Germany, where he witnessed firsthand the waning days of the Soviet Empire and the complexities of international espionage. As the 1980s drew to a close, the Soviet Union began to crumble under the weight of its own inefficiencies and internal strife. The once mighty empire was plagued by economic stagnation, political repression, and growing unrest among its citizens. For many, these were years of uncertainty, fear, and a sense of impending change. But for the ambitious young KGB officer, they represented an opportunity, a chance to rise from the ashes of a collapsing world, and to carve out a new path for himself in the tumultuous landscape of post-Soviet Russia. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 was a pivotal moment in world history. It marked the beginning of the end for the Soviet Union and ushered in a new era of global politics. For Vladimir Putin, stationed in Dresden, East Germany, it was a moment of profound upheaval. As the communist regime in East Germany collapsed, Putin watched as crowds tore down the wall, symbol of oppression and division. He later recalled his fear and uncertainty as protesters surrounded the KGB headquarters in Dresden, demanding access to its files. This experience left an indelible mark on Putin, shaping his worldview and his approach to power. In the aftermath of the Soviet collapse, Putin returned to Leningrad, now renamed St. Petersburg. The city, like the country itself, was in turmoil, grappling with economic hardship and political instability. It was in this chaotic environment that Putin began his ascent to power. He joined the administration of Anatoly Sobchak, the city's reformist mayor, as head of the Committee for External Relations. This position, seemingly mundane, gave Putin control over foreign investment and allowed him to cultivate relationships with powerful businessmen and politicians. He quickly earned a reputation for his efficiency, his ruthlessness, and his ability to get things done. By the late 1990s, Russia was a nation in transition. The heady days of Boris Yeltsin's presidency were marked by economic chaos and political instability. Yeltsin, a charismatic but increasingly erratic leader, was struggling to maintain control. It was against this backdrop that Vladimir Putin, a relatively unknown figure outside of elite circles, emerged as a potential successor. Putin's rise to power was swift and strategic. Appointed prime minister in August 1999, he quickly consolidated his authority, projecting an image of strength and decisiveness that contrasted sharply with Yeltsin's faltering leadership. When Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned on New Year's Eve 1999, Putin became acting president, setting the stage for his formal election just a few months later. With Putin at the helm, Russia entered a new era. He promised stability and order, appealing to a nation weary of economic hardship and political turmoil. Under his leadership, the Russian economy began to recover, fueled by rising oil prices and a crackdown on oligarchs who had amassed vast fortunes during the chaotic privatization of state assets in the 1990s. However, Putin's consolidation of power was not without its critics. Opposition voices were silenced, media outlets were brought under state control, and the rule of law was increasingly subordinated to the interests of the Kremlin. Amidst these changes, whispers of corruption and self-enrichment within Putin's inner circle began to surface. Section 4. Whispers of hidden riches, the murky world of Russian oligarchs. As Putin solidified his grip on power, questions lingered about the source of his wealth. While his official salary remained modest, rumors swirled about a vast, hidden fortune. These whispers were fueled by the opulence surrounding Putin and his inner circle, a stark contrast to the economic struggles faced by many ordinary Russians. Central to the enigma of Putin's wealth were the oligarchs, a select group of businessmen who had amassed immense fortunes during the chaotic privatization of state assets following the collapse of the Soviet Union. These individuals, once wielding significant political and economic power, found themselves increasingly beholden to Putin, their fortunes dependent on his favor. Some oligarchs, like Mikhail Khodorkovsky, who dared to challenge Putin's authority, faced swift and brutal consequences. Khodorkovsky, once Russia's richest man, was arrested on charges of fraud and tax evasion in 2003. His oil company Yukos dismantled and its assets absorbed by state-controlled firms. His downfall served as a stark warning to other oligarchs. Loyalty to Putin was paramount. Others, like Roman Abramovich and Oleg Deripaska, learned to navigate the new rules of the game, aligning their business interests with the Kremlin and reaping the rewards of their loyalty. They moved seamlessly between the worlds of business and politics, their fortunes intertwined with the regime. Section 5, Palaces and Yachts, the extravagance Putin denies. Despite his pronouncements of frugality, evidence of Putin's lavish lifestyle began to mount, fueling speculation about the true extent of his wealth. His public image of modesty clashed starkly with the opulence linked to his name. Reports emerged of opulent palaces, sprawling estates and luxurious yachts, all allegedly linked to Putin through a complex web of shell companies and intermediaries. These revelations painted a picture of a man living in luxury while presenting a facade of simplicity. One such property, a sprawling Black Sea estate dubbed Putin's Palace, became a symbol of the alleged corruption within his regime. This estate, with its grandeur and scale, stood as a stark contrast to the image Putin tried to project. This billion-dollar complex, complete with an amphitheater, a casino, and a vineyard, was reportedly built with funds siphoned from state coffers, a claim vehemently denied by the Kremlin. The luxurious interiors and extensive amenities only added to the controversy. Then there were the yachts. These floating palaces on water further exemplified the extravagant lifestyle allegedly enjoyed by Putin. The $500 million Scheherazade, equipped with a helipad, a swimming pool, and a movie theater, was rumored to belong to Putin, a claim further fueled by the presence of crew members linked to the Russian Federal Security Service, or FSB. The yacht's luxurious features and the involvement of FSB personnel only deepened the intrigue. Putin consistently dismissed these allegations, portraying himself as a man of simple tastes, more comfortable in the rugged outdoors than in opulent surroundings. He often highlighted his love for nature and the simplicity of his personal life. He claimed to own a modest apartment in Moscow, a few vintage cars, and a small plot of land. These claims were meant to reinforce his image as a humble public servant. However, the sheer scale of the assets linked to Putin, combined with the lack of transparency surrounding their ownership, did little to quell the suspicions. The complexity of the financial arrangements only added to the mystery. The extravagance on display stood in stark contrast to the economic hardship faced by many ordinary Russians, fueling resentment and discontent. The disparity between the lavish lifestyle of the elite and the struggles of the common people highlighted the growing divide in Russian society. Section 6, the Magnitsky Act and its aftermath, shining a light on hidden money. The tragic death of Sergei Magnitsky in a Russian prison in 2009 sent shockwaves through the international community and cast a harsh spotlight on the corruption and human rights abuses endemic within Putin's Russia. His story became a symbol of the fight against corruption and the quest for justice. Magnitsky, a diligent lawyer working for a Western investment fund, had uncovered a massive tax fraud scheme involving Russian government officials. His findings were explosive, revealing the depth of corruption within the Russian government. Instead of being lauded for his whistleblowing, he was arrested, imprisoned, and tortured, ultimately dying in custody under suspicious circumstances. His treatment highlighted the dangers faced by those who dare to challenge powerful interests in Russia. His untimely death became a rallying cry for human rights activists and anti-corruption campaigners around the world, prompting the United States to pass the Magnitsky Act in 2012. This act was a significant step in holding corrupt officials accountable. This landmark legislation imposed sanctions on Russian individuals deemed responsible for Magnitsky's death and other human rights abuses, freezing their assets and barring them from entering the United States. It sent a clear message that such actions would not be tolerated. The Magnitsky Act, later expanded to include other human rights violators worldwide, marked a turning point in the West's approach to Putin's Russia. It demonstrated a new resolve to confront human rights abuses on a global scale. It signaled a willingness to target the financial interests of those closest to Putin, exposing the illicit flows of money that propped up his regime. This financial pressure was a new tactic in the geopolitical struggle. The Kremlin reacted with fury, denouncing the Magnitsky Act as interference in Russia's internal affairs and retaliating with sanctions of its own. The diplomatic fallout was immediate and intense. However, the legislation had a chilling effect, making it riskier for Putin's cronies to park their ill-gotten gains in Western financial institutions. The Magnitsky Act continues to be a powerful tool in the fight against global corruption and human rights abuses.